to start off the removal of this engine, I'm going to start with taking things from the top off. So just start with little, harnesses, cables, grounds, anything that will get in the way of taking the motor out. I will be dropping the motor from underneath. So pretty much I'm going to need to take everything that will connect to the chassis off, like these brake lines, fuel lines, again throttle body. I'll start taking off the intake air temperature, the MAF connector. Really just look around and find anything that connects from the engine to the chassis, so when it is dropped, nothing will get snagged or be pulling. We'll be taking the ECU out. Then once everything is taken off, I'll start draining the radiator coolant and just go from there. So this is the beginning of removing this ls1 for my 240. And I will be using these parts to install it. With any engine removal, you're going to need to drain your fluids. You can start with your radiator fluid. Just open up the cap, and the petcock should be on your bottom passenger side, right there. I would suggest, lifting your pan as close as possible as you can, so to prevent any splashback. Open up, let it drain, and continue with removing other things. So this is what came out of my radiator. I'm hoping this is the GM red coolant and nothing else. After the coolant is all drained, you want to move any hoses that's connected from the radiator to the engine out. I'll start with those three, then the small one, and as far as this top hose, I will remove it from there because the power steering is connected to it as a cooler. I really don't want to disconnect any power steering stuff where it can leak, so I'm just going to take that out and throw it on top of the motor. Part of the procedure, we're going to have to take the brake sensor off, so you got to take off the two front wheels, and I'll be disconnected from there because the other end is the chassis harness, and we'll be dropping the K member, so that has to come off. You have to do that on both sides. This is the passenger side brake sensor. I'll be taking off that clip and removing it from that bracket so it won't get caught when I drop the K member. In order to drop the K member, we're going to have to take out these 4 bolts. These 2 are 15 mil and those are T50 bits. But in order to get to the T50 bits, we're going to have to take the brake master cylinder out in order to get to those. And to take that out, just take out those 2 15mm bolts and then just pop it up out of the way to get to this. And while we're here, we can also take out the air hose to the booster. And on the other side, it's just 2 15 and 2 13 bolts. Next is the AC. Depending if you want to keep the compressor with the motor or with the car, there's 2 ways to do it. I'm going to keep the compressor with the motor, so I'm going to be disconnecting this line and this line. One thing you're going to have to remove from the front of the car is the sway bar. There should be 2 13 bolts on each side, and it will come off, and I'll just let it hang because it can stay with the K member when you drop it. While underneath, you can take these shields off so we can disconnect the brake lines from the chassis, so when we're lowering the K member, nothing will get snagged. Alright, once you take the heat shield off the brake lines from underneath, you want to disconnect it from the ABS unit, and you want to take out the left front and right front, and the brake line will stay with the K member while you drop it down. Moving underneath the car, we're going to start removing the drive shaft, 4 bolts, and it should come off. Then we'll take the torsion bar off, and there should be 1 bolt on top, and that bracket comes off, and we should be able to push it up. And while we're under here, if you have a T56 with your ls1, you want to drain it from there. This is the tension bar with the bracket off. You can just push the tension bar up. And now we're gonna drain the tranny fluid against this spot right here. Remove this. Oh dang, look at that spider. Alright, back to it. So let's remove this right here. Oh damn, he's coming. And right back to it again. So just remove this and let it drain. Don't let it just come straight out. This looks a little dirty. One of the things on the tranny that you're gonna have to take out, disconnect, is the clutch line. And this is where it's at. Alright guys, continuing with the engine removal. One thing you need to do is remove the harness or a few connectors so you can pull the harness through. So first you gotta take out the plastic around the door, and then this is what you're trying to get at when the plastic piece is off, is just disconnect a couple of these connectors so you're able to pull the harness through the firewall. And while you're in here, you should also take off your shift knob so that can drop down with ease. Part of the harness removal, you gotta take this off, these plugs off from the passenger side. You have the ground that goes right here, and then part of the engine harness, you will see that harness, it should be clipped to the radiator, or actually the fan, using those plastic clips. You would need to take it off if you're going to be keeping the harness on with the motor. You will also need to take this off from here. Usually when I take things off, I just put this nut back on, so less problem of losing and stuff. There's a ground on the driver's side rail. You should remember to get, it's that one right there, and it's connected to your alternator. Alright, don't forget to take out the steering shaft. Should be an 11 and it'll come right out.